What's going on, guys? Kyle Bradshaw here at the Moto ADV Rally 2024. Now, last year I filmed you guys a vertical video of the entire Motoz tire lineup. Dude, you guys are not on board with vertical video, I gotta tell you. So today we're doing a horizontal full frame format. It's my favorite as well. You get a lot more detail and a lot more visual, so I understand. So here's the Motoz lineup. Now, Motoz is my #1 favorite go-to tire. Why is that? Well, first off, the Australians have very similar riding situations or terrains to what we have here in Southern California up through Northern California. Lots of rocks, lots of sand, lots of deep gnarly stuff that tears up sidewalls, puts holes in tires and things of that nature. Now, most of us are looking for a different kind of tire for two reasons. Either number one, our original tire doesn't give us the traction that we want, either for forward momentum or for side hilling and side bite. That is a huge problem out there in the space. Not going to mention any Shinko 804, 805s that can't even sit on a hill. You're just going to end up in the bottom of the gully. Now, that's number one. Number two, you guys are looking for a tire that gets you maximum longevity. TKC 80, an amazing tire, but I can't get 2,000 miles out of a set. And that gets really, really expensive. And number three is going to be grip. Like, what's the tire made out of? Like the new Tusk 2-Track has a really, really hard plastic type compound. Motoz tires are made of an all-natural rubber with other synthetic pieces like silica and things of that mixed into it, so you get ultimate traction. So when it comes to taking a look at a set of Motoz tires, yes, the initial sticker price is more expensive than a lot of other tires that are out there. But what's going to happen is some of those tires are going to last a long time, but they're going to have horrible characteristics on the highway. You're going to feel every bump, every pothole, all that energy is going to come up through the chassis of the motorcycle. Or the other tires are going to wear out super fast. They might be super cheap, but you're going to install, mount, and balance at your local shop 2 or 3 sets of those tires in the same time frame that you'll have a single set of Motoz tires on your motorcycle. Now count that up. My local shop is charging an hour of labor to do a set of tires, and then they're charging you another, it's ridiculous. Anyway, check with your local shop and see how much they're going to charge you for a set of tires mounted and balanced. It's absolutely crazy. So right now, I'm going to take you on the walkthrough of the Motoz lineup. Now, the least aggressive Motoz tire you're going to find in this lineup is going to be the Tractionator GPS. It's going to be this guy right here. Now, this is a traditional 50-50 tire, or you can flip it and go mostly off-road. Now, what does that mean? Well, this tire is designed so that when you lean into a corner, so this right here is going to be 50-50 this direction and mostly off-road this direction. So it's a dual direction tire. What happens here is mounted in this direction right here, you're going to have tons of little leading edges. And in off-road, those leading edges are what's going to bite into the surface and grab and pull you forward. Flipped around in the 50-50 direction, it's going to be a smooth transition as this tire comes down to the surface. So as you lean into corners, it's supposed to be a little bit smoother in the transition. Now, I've run numerous sets of these, and I personally haven't found really any difference in the way it feels on pavement one way or the other. But I have found that riding this in the mostly off-road direction does give me a discernible difference in increased traction. So I say if you're going to run a GPS, run it mostly off-road and have a good time out there. Now, this is the GPS front tire. Come on in close so you can take a look. So this is going to be a very smooth tire. These tires, the center band right here, runs extremely smooth down the highway. It's going to feel like a street tire. It doesn't have any of the grooves here or gaps in the center. So you don't have the bite slip. It's just a super smooth transition when you're on the highway. Very similar to that of the front tire here. It doesn't have a center groove, but the way that these chevrons are built into the tire, extremely smooth in transitions, in corners, in stopping and braking. Lots and lots of rubber contact on the ground, and that's why this does so great on road And it does great off-road too, as far as light gravel roads like we have right here, just down the main highway right here. But if you're getting into deep, soft, sandy stuff, you're gonna want a dual venture front tire, or even the Rally front tire, which we'll get to here in a minute. That's gonna be much more aggressive. Now what's gonna happen is these lugs right here, it's the lug that gives you the bite slip. So in soft terrain, if you were to brake on this, there's not that much of a groove here in order to grab media to help slow the motorcycle down. That's what you want. You want media to get trapped in between these voids, and you want these lugs to kind of grab in and give you a foothold. That's what that void there is going to do for you and your traction on the highway. Now if you look over here, we have a standard center block. We then have an angled side lug that comes down to a solid lug here on the side. This also is going to trap media, so this helps for that side bite that I was talking about. So when you're side hilling, you want media to trap into these little areas so that your bike sticks to the side of the hill as you're riding. You don't want that to slide down into the groove. You want to be able to control where that motorcycle is going. Now as we get more aggressive in this lineup, you're going to find more and more side bite is apparent. So here on the GPS, you're going to see that we have the center groove, and we have a side bite or a side groove here that goes straight out to the side. This is going to be the least side bite that we're going to get out of any of the Motoz tires, but because this angles down, you're still trapping that media against this angled block. So you're still getting decent side bite without having the offset lug that you see right here on the Tractionator Adventure. So the Tractionator Adventure is the next more aggressive tire in the Motoz lineup. It's kind of like that 60% dirt and 40% street tire. This is going to give you about 2,000 more miles than you're going to get out of the Rally tire. Now mileage really doesn't compare the Adventure to the GPS. The GPS is a 10 to 12,000 mile tire depending on what motorcycle you're running on, what pressures you're running, how much luggage you're carrying. This is crazy. You literally could ride this tire to Alaska and to back, and to finish your season and probably start the next season on this tire before having to replace it. The Adventure tire on average gets between 6,000 and 8,000 miles. I personally get between 5 and 7 out of it, but most of you guys out there running this tire are getting closer to that 8,000 mile mark. It is a phenomenal tire. Now what you're going to see here is in the center lug right here, you're going to find a nice block. This is going to give you that amazing side traction that we're talking about. Now, some of you are running motorcycles that have tubed wheels that you could do either a 140 or a 150 on. And you're asking, which one should I go with? Well, this here is a 150, and you can see how wide it is. This here is a 140 tube type. Now, if you go with the 140 tubeless version, it's going to be just a smidge narrower than this guy, but it's going to have this nice flat profile, unlike this one that's really, really contoured to the rim. You have a nice round profile on this one. You're also going to notice that the lugs are a little bit further apart. So you do have a little bit of tread differentiation when it comes to how far of a separation you have between the 140 and the 150, even though they're close to the same size. So 140 is the measurement from side to side. The tube type version is actually smaller than that. The actual tubeless 140 is much, much more close to that actual 140 dimension. So it's about 10 millimeters narrower than this 150 right here. So the Adventure tire. The Adventure tire is going to be the first tire in the Motoz lineup, more aggressive than the GPS, and it's going to give you that bite slip, which is imperative for off-road traction. This groove in between these lugs is extremely important for how much traction or how much rubber you have on the pavement, giving you traction when you're trying to carve canyons and do fun things like that. Again, side lugs are huge for side bite. The Adventure tire is going to have 3 different size lugs here in the center. A large lug, a small lug, a medium lug. A large lug, a small lug, a medium lug. That alternation is going to give you different points of leading edge bite as this tire is going around. So you don't want to dig a trench, like one strip down the middle where you're just digging a hole. So this is going to grab smaller stuff. This is going to grab medium stuff. This is going to grab a bigger hole. Then the next thing you're going to hit is small, medium, large. So just the progression of that lug grabbing more and more media is going to help you propel forward. a great design here in the Motoz lineup. Moving to the next more aggressive tire, it's going to be the rally tire. It's getting more of that 70% off-road and 30% on-road. Let me preface that with I hate percentages. And the reason I hate percentages is I don't care what the tire was designed for, how much off-road you're going to do. I do probably 80% of my riding on-road. I commute every day during the week, and then when I get out off-road, which is probably 10% or less of my actual ride time, I want the best tire I can possibly have to get the best traction. So I really don't want an 80-20 tire because I'm just going to crash all day and not get the forward momentum that I want. I want a more aggressive tire. So the rally tire right here is my favorite go-to rear tire. Phenomenal. And the rally front tire, huge. I love this thing off-road. I'm not too big of a fan of it on-road. It gets that ring groove wiggle and it wears down. That trailing edge does wear faster than some of the other tires out there. But if I was going to do a Baja trip solely and be primarily on dirt, this rally front tire is 100% the tire that I put on the bike. It just works super, super good. Why is that? Well, you have this leading edge right here, right? This first lug that's going to hit. You then have a split lug. You have two more leading edges here and then two more that follow it up. The amount of leading edges is huge. And then look at all the side bite. You've got this one that's directly in the way here, this one in the way here, this one in the way here. And you can see that all these lugs alternate. They're all at different stages as the tire rolls around. This is one of the most aggressive and most traction producing front tire that I've run on my machine. I don't care for it on the street as much, but if I'm going to do a strictly dirt road ride, this primo. Rally tire. So what we're having here is, you can see the difference between the Adventure and the Rally here is going to be the Rally center lug here is all the same. They're all the same size. But what we've done here is they're alternating. So what's happening is where this lug is the same size as this one, they're alternated just enough that it's going to be like a cat kind of clawing up a mountainside. You're going to grab some dirt and grab some dirt, grab some dirt. It's never going to be in that same spot. So you're not going to be digging trenches. You're going to be walking right out of whatever you're trying to traverse out of. Now, there's not quite as much side bite on the rally tire, but there is enough. It is ample. So right here, the dirt's going to come over. It's going to hit this leading edge, and then it's going to hit this leading edge. Now, these are obviously leading edges as you're sliding down the hillside, so it's not that forward momentum leading edge that we're talking about, but they are basically traffic jams. They're going to capture media in these different locations. Now, this is something to think about. So while you're there, do you want all of that media to get jammed up in here and get stuck in the tire? No, you don't. So it's kind of nice that some of that media can slip out through the open grooves. That is a benefit. But it's those edges, those side ledges there that's going to grab that media and keep you sticking to the hillside. Now I've got not GPS. I've got a Desert HT tire review that I did on a way to Moab. So I rode from Southern California up to Moab. We did 4 days in Moab and then rode home again. You can't get a better tire than the Desert HT when you're out there in that super soft, silty sand, the rocks, things of that nature. So what we're looking at here is the same type of thing we were talking about with the Rally tire. You can see the spacing between the tread blocks here on the Rally and the Desert HT are very, very similar. The Adventure tire is going to be about a third closer. So you're going to have more rubber on the ground, you're going to have less groove, and you're going to have better mileage, better or more rubber on the ground when you're running the Adventure, and then a little bit less rubber on the ground, which is why it wears out about 2,000 miles quicker than the Adventure, than the Desert HT. The Desert HT actually gets about the same mileage as the Rally. I get between 3,800 and 4,500 out of this guy. And then this one here, it's 4,000 to 5,000 miles, depending on what I'm doing. What makes this Desert HT very unique is the fact that we have individual lugs right here. The center lugs, they go two different sizes, a small, a large, a small, a large. Now, this large lug actually has a scoop in it. So it's actually scooping sand. It's actually scooping media. That's a really cool feature. You then have these alternating lugs in the middle that are standalone lugs. And then here on the side, people question how well this tire can actually perform when hitting the twisties like super hard. If you take a look, this lug right here is actually tied to this one by this lower block down here in the middle. So really, this section right here is all the same block tied to the carcass. Same thing with this one here. This bridge right here is tying both of these lugs together. So even when you're railing this and you're super leaned over and you think that you only have this much rubber on the ground, the stability of these blocks are actually coming from the base of this entire lug right here. Super, super neat. Desert HT, if you're riding all of these sandy, rocky, nasty terrains and you want the best traction possible, this is going to be your tire. Now that being said, I often go with the rally tire because you can see that the gap between these lugs here is not that far off. It's pretty close. And I get significantly more mileage out of the Desert HT, or sorry, out of the Rally than I do the Desert HT. Now there are some of you who want the absolute utmost front tire traction that you can get on a tube type application. And for those guys, I've been actually recommending the ST FATTY. So the ST FATTY is a 90-121. Now, most people see the 100 and they think it's going to be a fatter tire. It's called a fatty tire. But really, the 90 is 90 millimeters across, and then you're going to have 100, which is the aspect ratio. So the sidewall of the tire is going to be 100% the width of the tire. So you're just going to have more rubber. Like the sidewall of this tire is going to be fatter than that of a 90-90-21. Now take a look at the tread pattern on this as compared to that dual venture front tire. This thing is gnarly and it's knobby. And if you're looking for the utmost dirt bike traction on, say, your T7, this is a really cool way to go. Now, those of you running smaller motorcycles that are running a 120, a 130, or a 140 rear, and you're looking for that perfect soft terrain type tire, this ST FATTY is definitely the way to go. Now, if you're looking to get maximum mileage out of your front tire, you're going to want to look at the dual venture front tire. Now, there used to be an adventure front tire that kind of went in between the Rally front and the GPS front. That has been discontinued here in the USA, and now we have the dual venture front tire, which can legitimately be used for any of these applications. Now, the dual venture front tire is extremely stable on the highway. I've had this up over 150 miles an hour on my 1190. Take a look at the link above and you can see that happening. Of course, that was in Mexico, duh, where there's no speed limits. Anyway, the key to the dual venture is the fact that you can flip it. So people are worried about, so the Rally tire, everyone loves this thing off-road, but that trailing edge wear is pretty significant and it happens fast. It is not a reversible tire. The dual venture gives you very similar characteristics to that. It's a little bit more tame off-road, but it is super stable on the highway. I've run this thing at least 12 times now on various machines, and I can do as fast as I want. It's super stable, it sticks to the ground, I can canyon carve with it, and it does a great job. The benefit to this tire is the fact that it's reversible. So as soon as you start to see trailing edge wear on this tire, you flip it. I made a big mistake the first time I ran it. I ran it down about 3,000 miles and then flipped it, and it was like, dude, putting the brakes on off-road was like a ski slope. Like that, you now have a ski slope that's not much stopping power at all whatsoever. I thought it was a gimmick, and I pretty much suggested that you guys don't flip it at all and just run it down and replace it. Since then, I've started replacing them as soon as I start to see that trailing edge wear, and I'm getting, on average, 8,000 to 10,000 miles out of a front tire. On 2 different occasions, I've actually gotten 12,000 miles out of the front, flipping it 4 times. So the initial installation, and then as soon as I start to see it wear down, which is right around 1,500 miles, you can probably push it to 2,000. Now the reason you don't want to push it is as soon as you flip it, it's going to automatically and very, very quickly go down to the lowest common denominator. The lowest part of that trailing edge is now going to be your front leading edge. So if you let it trail edge too much and you flip it, you're going to just diminish your tread wear. Now, when it does equalize, you now have a brand new tire for the next 1,000 miles, which is primo. So if you flip it when it just barely starts to show that edge wear, you're really not going to wear down much rubber, and then you're going to have a brand new tire again. In another 1,500 miles, you flip it again. In 300 to 500 miles, you now have a brand new tire for another 1,000 miles. It really is phenomenal. I really, really enjoy the dual venture front tire and the way that I can flip it and keep having new tire performance out of that front tire that's lasting way longer than any other tire that I can put on the motorcycle. Think about that. 4 different tires I would have had to put on there if they were cheap tires that wore out quickly. I bought 1 tire. In my garage, if you learn how to flip your own tires, you can do it. And you basically have 3 free front tires for every 1 tire you purchase. It's pretty rad. Anyway, that there is the walkthrough of the Motoz lineup. They have the tires that you need for your off-road adventure motorcycle. If you're looking to have the best performance, the most longevity, and just a great riding experience. All natural rubber. And how do you say the name? It's Motoz. Moto tires from Australia. Motoz is the name. I'm Carl Bradshaw. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And if you want more detailed breakdowns of each of these tires, I have a playlist called Motoz Monday, where I break down each of these individual tires, show you on-road and off-road examples of what each of those tires do. So Motoz Monday playlist, go take a look at that if you want to know more specific information about any of these tires. And if you just have general questions, comment down below, guys. I answer every single comment that you guys put through. So until next time, take care and ride safe. Wait a minute. Thank you, Motoz, for creating amazing tires that go the distance. I'm Kyle. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care. Ride safe out there.